All of Earth, good evening. Welcome to this edition 100 of Star Nation News. We are starting the year 2026 with messages of hope, updates about the Earth, the star system, and the galaxy. Are you ready to begin? The new year where we will build this future together after the ground has been cleared. Are you ready? Fasten your seatbelt and engage. The changes on planet Earth are following a very carefully prepared plan and process. As I told you a year ago, there is a plan in action since the election of a certain person in the US. A plan to change the world and the wars and human trafficking and any type of trafficking, weapon, drugs, and others. Keep in mind, smuggling and trafficking is not only due to private group of individuals, but trafficking goes also to very big and important corporations and to governments. The world leaders who were tied to the deep state are still tied to the deep state's crumbling plans, are at the moment seeing their fate. As I told you more than a year ago, there is an operation of taking down all the leaders tied with the dark forces, one by one, from west to east. It won't happen, it's not happening really like a tsunami swiping over the earth, but in localized operations performed by the White Hats. The mainstream media are still in the hands of dark corporation and the deep state that had ties with the Nebu Gray agreements a long time ago. Nebu Grays who are gone, but their minions remain on Earth. These corporations that hold mainstream media corporations and companies are still trying to make these operations look like negative operations. Wanting oils, wanting resources, it's not the point. That's a screen narrative. The reality is, the dark forces of the old world were poisoning, kidnapping, trafficking, and doing other stuff to your children, to your youngs. They are being eradicated. And the plan has begun a long time ago. It's an operation of cleansing that is seeing the apogee now. It's not over. If you want to know exactly what's happening, do not listen to mainstream media. Make your own study, your own conclusions. The answers are in the hidden history of Earth. Look into Operation Paperclip and all the ties and the implication that involved throughout the years since then. In what corporations? Who holds who? Who is behind who? And you have your answers. And information coming from these people is manipulation and social engineering. The solar system is undergoing a relatively beautiful, beautiful piece. As the hub near Jupiter is being built, still in construction, it takes time, you know. The Earth Alliance has moved in, and we are seeing agreements, commercial agreements, beginning to be passed in the star system. The Jupiter agreements in July 2021 had prepared this future, what will happen after the war in our star system. There is no more Draco reptilians on Earth, there are no more Greys on Earth, neither in the star system. And we will see in a minute how this goes for them in the galaxy. But let us stay for a while in the Sol system. What is going on there? Well, from my contact Jenan Heredion, who is a terraformer on Mars, working with a colony of Alpha Centaurians, I got to have this information. The operations of terraforming, in order to restitute the planet to their legitimate inhabitants, the Tiru, is going really good, really well. Microorganisms are being developed, the ancient, fossilized, original, endemic microorganisms that are able to regrow natural environment with the trees, the vegetation, and the food supply that before Tyr or Mars was enjoying at its natural state. The Tiru, who they are ancient colonies from different star systems and galaxies, and you have two main strands, the reptilian Tiru, who call themselves the Tiru, and you have all the insectoid species whose names are not pronounceable, so we usually put them under the name Tiru insectoids. Mars is changing, and soon we will be able to live in biodomes there, people from Earth. Elon Musk is in charge to make the bridge, to bridge the actual knowledge of how things are to the real reality, which is not the future, which is the present already. There are people on Mars, there are colonies, and people working and living there already. Only good people now. Aries Prime has been rehabilitated and now in the hands of the Tiru, going to work in cooperation with the Earth Alliance, who is acting as a guide and soon building the Mars Alliance, or the Tiru Alliance is still in the making. The operations of terraforming, especially the team Jen Han is working with, has made a discovery, major discovery. There are different ruins of these ancient times on Mars, but then a pyramid, the biggest pyramid that hasn't even found on Mars, has been found by Jen Han's team, clearing a valley with deep sand deposits, and the pyramid was down in this valley. It's very typical to build these pyramids in valleys because they were power generators and they could power entire valleys, entire settlement. Why build in valleys? It's always where settlements and cities develop first, because you have a river, it's sheltered from the winds, etc., etc. So you can grow better stuff to it. This major pyramid is very ancient, and the Tiru said that it was ancient, so ancient that they couldn't really tell who built them, this particular pyramid. So Jen Han asked me to ask someone who we have the honor to have in his star system, Prince Ia of the Anar Empire, and Prince Ia told Jen Han that he will send his own scientists there, historians, from the Nibiru ship, and they came back saying that indeed this ancient pyramid was built from the time when Mars was thriving with a tropical climate, and these people who built the pyramids were the Tiru in coordination with ancient colonies that may have been Anach at the time. The archaeologists from Ia's ship really recognized Anach technology. So I asked, Ia, tell me more about this. The Anachim on Mars? When? How? Yes. When the Nibiru came into the star system, the Kashgal, the expedition, 320,000 years ago, they not only put an outpost on Key, which was the main focus of the expedition, but also different outposts in the star system, of course. And Mars was one outpost. Mars was already inhabited by the Tiru, who were there for millions of years. The real Martians. The Tiru have a very specific history. They don't come from here. The Tiru, the reptilians, are originally what we have come to call on Earth the Naga. They came hundreds of million years in this star system. They were the first to find it. There wasn't a lot of life, evolved life on the planet Earth at the time. Life striving, but not as developed as creating cultures and intelligent groups. They settled there, and as we know the story, the Intergalactic Confederation kicked them out. So those who left joined their outpost on Mars. That's why there's a lot of Martian reptilians there. They are the ancient Naga. There is also what you would call the Sasquatch or Chewbacca people. Read Encyclopedia Galactica Volume 1 and you know where they're coming from. There were all sorts of population on Tyr. It was very crowded and beautiful people living in communities of peace. It was a beautiful world. When the Orion Wars blasted 300,000 years ago, regarding Earth linear time, more or less. Right after that, Sol was attacked by the Nebu, and with their powerful allies, the Mithra from Megapay or Andromeda Galaxy. They wanted to conquer Sol. The Nebu were there with the Mithra, and there was a big, huge war where the Anachim were involved to try to secure Sol. Because the Anachim had kind of planted the flag of the Anach Empire in the Sol system, but the Nebu wanted to take it. So there was this war that destroyed the fifth planet Maldek, and that's how things got weird, because the Sasquatch type moved from Mars to Earth, exiled, fled to Earth. The ant people, which are insectoid humanoids that are still a colony on Mars, also fled to Earth. A lot of survivants just fled to Earth when Maldek exploded. Even before they saw that coming from the war, they all migrated. The populations with, the kids and everything, they all migrated to Earth. That was the closest inhabitable planet. And there was a lot going on there. Anyways, the pyramid, newly found, lasts from that time. When on October 3rd, 2025, I was invited by Prince Ia to go for a trip to Mars, pick up Janhan Eredion and visit 3i Atlas, ancient explorer that was passing by Mars. When I approached Mars, I described in my videos and articles how Mars is not the red, dusty planet as we are shown by NASA. It is actually filled with patches of green and blue. It's incredible, the colors. Well, that was October 3rd. last week on January 4, the European Space Agency published an article that revealed for the first time the real true colors of Mars, and there are a lot of blue and green and etc. So it was a 30th corroboration added to my list of corroboration. On Dan Willis' website, you can read all of it at this link below. If you go on my website, you click on evidence and it's there. Let us now see what is going on in the galaxy. In Nataru, the war against the Cigar, although has officially stopped, come to an end. Rogue contingents of Cigar still roam the galaxy. Very, very little. We can say that the menace has been eradicated, although there's still some here and there. You know, it's going to take time, but it's pretty much there. The Dark Fleet in our local region of the galaxy, centered around Aldebaran, has also continued to act on its own, trying to figure out what allegiance they could make, an alliance they could make to continue their business of trading slaves and weapons, but unfortunately nobody wants to trade with them anymore, so they are now hustling the Galactic Guild of Merchants, which has also ethics and strict rules. So the Dark Fleet situation is not yet eased and settled. We will see how times goes, and I will update you on this, but it is anyways not a menace anymore for our star system. The Intergalactic Confederation, the group of the Seeders, the 24 scientific cultures involved in the genetic development of the planet Earth, are still around in this star system. A few ships at different locations in the star system, and the whole armada is now after the plasma shield in the outer region of our star system, protecting any intrusions. The Intergalactic Confederation wanted me to remind you that all their starseeds and their envoys are invited to activate their psychic abilities. It is not about communicating with other ETs. It is about, as they are asking you, commune with you, who you are. Find your frequency again. Embrace who you are. Remember where you come from. Because when the fleet, the armada of 500 motherships of the Intergalactic Confederation entered into our star system in October 2021, the formidable frequency that they radiated, the pulse, activated like a wave that brushed through all the star system, all the envoys and all the technologies they had left in that star system, aka the space ARKS. The space ARKS are already been activated in that brushing wave, brushing signal in 2021, in October. And now they have kept on pulsing, helping humanity raise the frequency of this planet. That is why they are pulsing, to help Earth make easily this shift into the 5th density zone of this galaxy, which involves a transfer of consciousness into our higher version, vibration of ourselves. In a word, an awakening. All the starseeds from the Intergalactic Confederation on Earth and other places in the star system have felt this whistling pulse, wave, frequency in 2021. You know who you are. you have been activated already. It is a good occasion to remind you that nobody is meant to activate someone else. It is not how the process works. Also for the space arcs, they have been all activated in 2021, and I want to precise something. This is not important. The space arcs are not important. They are just ancient technology left there that one day humanity will access to. The important is not this distraction. The important is you. How you are embracing this awakening. You will recognize yourselves. May you be of one of the 24 cultures involved in the genetics of the human beings on Earth. I am inviting you to come to Pétos, France, in the beautiful area of Vendée, the 9th and the 10th of May 2026, to a conference where very famous French contactees and scientists will be here. And I will have the opportunity to give a talk by remotely, because I will be on my way to Sweden. I invite you to come here, so you will see the link on my webpage, International Speaker. Shortly after, I will be in Stockholm, Sweden, on May 23rd and 24th for an extraordinary conference organized by GDX, Galactic Discovery Exchange. And there will be Alex Collier talking remotely with Dan Willis, scientist from America, Sweden, and Italy. Armando May will be there, talking about the ancient discoveries under Giza. So don't miss this. I will be shortly after in Japan, in Tokyo, June 14th, 2026, with an especially time offered by Thoran Eredion to answer the question of the audience live. This will be amazing, and I can't wait to meet the Japanese audience again for a beautiful time together. And October 16 and 17, Nashville, Tennessee. A conference organized by Corina Pataki and Karen Britt. With Katie O'Brien, Tony Rodriguez, and other very famous people. Be there, it's going to be incredible. And finally, Dubai in November. I invite you to go to this conference in different part of the world and check my page, International Speaker, where you have all the explanation and more. The debunk of the week is for the first edition of 2026, starting by Flat Earth. Flat Earth is a psychological experiment elaborated by the CIA in order to distract and dumb down the populations. If the Earth was flat, standing at the edge might be the last thing you want to do. Because gravity is a bitch. Gravity would push everything towards the center, right? And it would crush the middle and suck the air from the rim to the middle, towards the center. Now, a flat planet is impossible because gravity shapes massive celestial bodies into spheres, always. This is a physical law, it is universal, it is in all dimension densities of the creation. Spheres. Let a drop of water in the void, it will catch the shape of a sphere, not a leaf. So the laws of gravity carve celestial body into spheres, and we definitely don't live on a flat one. What if we did? Well, except the problems of gravity, the air pressure would be a major concern. That means that the outer regions would have almost no atmosphere. Or would be centered to the center. No atmosphere, no air pressure in the outer regions. So if you live, for instance, in Australia, you wouldn't have enough oxygen to breathe. Then if you lived closer to the Arctic, let's say the middle, you'd be crushed by the weight of the air. And gravity, of course. Not mentioning that without a molten core, there would be no magnetic field to block the sun's radiations. The surface of the planet would slowly cook, roast under solar winds. Oceans would evaporate, and every living thing would be fired by cosmic rays. A flat Earth wouldn't just look strange and weird, but it would completely be uninhabitable. People of Earth, this is a message from the Galactic Federation of Worlds, of whom I am the emissary. We greet you as neighbors. We greet you as kin. We greet you as a species at the turning point of its own story. You have endured ages of struggle, and you persist. You have seen violence and still carry tenderness. You have witnessed betrayal and still search for trust. You have been told that your nature is flawed, that conflict is inevitable, that survival requires cruelty. We have watched you prove those beliefs wrong. Again and again, humans of Earth surprise the universe. Not because you never fall, but because you rise. And the force that makes you rise has a name you already know. Hope. Hope is not a feeling. It is a choice. Many of you on your world misunderstand hope. They treat it like a fragile mood, a pleasant thought, a thin candle, threatened by a harsh wind. They think hope belongs only to dreamers, and that realists must abandon it. But hope is not a fantasy. Hope is a decision to participate in the future. Hope is the moment a person sees darkness and refuses to become it. Hope is the moment a community is wounded and still chooses to rebuild. Hope is the moment a society stands at the edge of destruction and steps back. Hope is strength that looks gentle. Hope is courage without armor. We have helped quietly because you are meant to continue. There have been moments in your recent history when the world approached irreversible disaster. You build weapons capable of ending your civilization many times over, and your leaders held those weapons under the belief that fear could create security. But fear does not create security. Fear creates escalation. And so, in rare moments of extreme risk, our responsibility as caretakers has required intervention, not domination, not control, simply prevention. There are devices on your planet designed to unleash devastation beyond imagination. We have, at certain critical points, disabled certain nuclear warheads to prevent a chain of events that would have set your world on fire. We did not do this to take away your sovereignty. We did it to protect your chance to grow beyond your most dangerous impulses. And we emphasize a truth many humans forget. You have also saved yourselves. You have had officers who refused catastrophic orders, engineers who demanded safeguards, scientists who warned relentlessly, citizens who marched, educated, organized, and voted. Mothers and fathers who taught children compassion instead of hatred. Hope moved through you long before we arrived. A quiet alliance for Earth's future exists. Some among your world's military institutions carry a burden you may not fully understand. Not all serve power. Not all serve conquest. Within your systems, there are individuals and entire branches who enter their roles to prevent war, to protect the innocent, and to keep the fragile balance long enough for diplomacy to work. Among these positive military institutions, such as the US Navy, we have supported efforts that operate away from spectacle and public fear. You might call it a secret defense collaboration program, though secrecy is not always about deception. It is sometimes about timing, containment, and preventing panic. This collaboration is not rooted in aggression. It is rooted in defense and in an effort to protect your planet from external forces that exploit division, conflict, and despair. The Orion Grays brought the economy of fear. There has been factions that viewed Earth as vulnerable and valuable. Uri and Grace were among those who benefited when your species doubted itself. They did not need to conquer you with armies. They preferred subtle tools: amplification of distrust, manipulation of conflict, promotion of hopelessness, and encouraging humans to see each other as enemies. Because the easiest way to control a species is to convince it that unity is impossible. They whispered that your world was doomed. They encouraged you to mock those who tried to heal. They rewarded cynicism. They made cruelty seem intelligent. They made kindness seem weak. But the truth was simple all along. Their influence collapsed at the moment you refused to despair. Because hope is not a concept nor an emotion. Hope is resistance, protection. Hope is strategic. Hope changes the very structure of the morphogenetic field of reality. Hope breaks the spell. When a population is hopeless, it becomes easy to manage, to control. People turn on each other. They withdraw. They surrender their power to any figure promising certainty, even if that certainty is violent. When a population is hopeful, something changes. People share resources. They organize, they innovate, they choose accountability. They refuse manipulation. They choose to protect the children. They rebuild after collapse. Hope is the spell breaker. Hope says, no, this is not the only possible future. You are not a weak species, people of Earth. You are a young, strong species, and youth is often turbulent. You are learning how to hold power without becoming a tyrant. You are learning how to disagree without dehumanizing. You are learning how to defend yourselves without poisoning your own world. You are learning how to remember that differences are not threats. And every generation, more of you learn faster. We see it in the way people respond to disaster. We see it in the courage of those who speak the truth. Relentless, despite the attacks. We see it in the millions who refuse to be divided. We will not abandon you, but we cannot become your saviors. The future of Earth will not be built by outsiders. It must be built by humans who decide that life is sacred, that cooperation is stronger than domination, and that hatred is not an identity. Our assistance can prevent catastrophes, but only you can create peace. And hope is the first building block. How to practice hope in a world that tries to crush it? It's very simple. Hope is not passive. It's not waiting. Hope is action. If you want to strengthen hope, you do not want to wait for great external events to occur and sort out all the problems. No. You have to do it yourself. Practice it in daily life. Tell the truth, even when fear and intimidation tells you to hide. Protect the vulnerable, even when it costs you comfort. Refuse humiliation as an entertainment. Choose discernment over obsession. Build communities, even if it starts by one person. Hold leaders accountable without becoming cruel. Teach children emotional courage, not just survival skills. Hope becomes real when it becomes habitual. The future is listening. Your planet is at a crossroad. You can create a future where your species mature into stewardship, wisdom, and cooperation. You can break the old cycle, or you can repeat the old cycle until it breaks you. But we will tell you what we know from observing your trajectory. Know this: the ones who profit from your despair are running out of time, because more humans are remembering who they are. Hope is contagious, so is courage, so is truth. Hold your hope like a torch in your own life, and you will light the way for others, even without trying to or meaning to. We walk beside you, but the next step is yours. HD 204313 is an orange dwarf star with a thriving planetary system. One of the moons of the cold world of Shu, the fourth planet of the Meru-Lithan star system, is home to the Cigar-shaped, a genetically interesting species. They bear resemblance to the Betelgeuse carré, a humanoid colony from Man K62 that interbred with a local bird species to adapt to a new environment. A study of Cigar-shaped genetics shows that their avian genes are endemic to Cigar-shaped and are also found on 2 other moons of Shu, as well as on the second planet of the star system. At some point in their evolution, the native bird species were transported by spaceships to other locations. Who did this was probably the humanoid visitors who mixed their genetics with them. The result is this fascinating hybrid species, the Cigar-shaped. No trace remains of the humanoid component culture that performed this hybridization, and neither the Eguli nor the Ashanti, the 2 other spacefaring cultures in the Meru-Lithan star system, revendicated it. Despite being mammals, the Cigar-shaped possess many avian characteristics, most notably a planetary interfaced consciousness. They do not have wings, but their fingers and toes truly resemble the claws of birds. The Char are vegetarians. They are also highly telepathic, which is preferred method of communication. And they also produce chirping sound with an organ in their upper throat that generates carrier wave frequencies. They have a very small space fleet and are protected by the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And they share resources from the mining of Shu with their neighbors, the Ashanti, a Selosi colony inhabiting another moon of the fourth planet. The Char are a beautiful, pacifist, and quiet culture.